All right, so I quit this one thing and it raised my vibe forever. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what is this thing? And is it something that you're doing that you might consider quitting? Before I start this video, and also before I tell you what the thing is, just bear in mind this is only one thing, and I do have a video on this channel, on my YouTube channel. It's about an hour long, and it explains 10 things that I really highly recommend that you consider stopping if you want to raise your vibration. And these are really important things. I also explain how to actually use a series of what I call spiritual biohacks to change your vibration forever. The link's in the description. I'm sure you're going to love it. So what is this one thing and why did I quit? Okay, so the thing is alcohol. And so many years ago, almost a decade ago now, wow, it seems like forever. Basically, I used to drink quite often. I used to drink maybe 2 to 3 times a week heavily. I would have, I would drink for the whole evening pretty much every week. I actually combined this with smoking as well, which is a very bad combination. So why is alcohol so bad in my opinion? I've made some notes here and there's actually several reasons. So there are the physical reasons and then the spiritual or more metaphysical reasons. So I'm going to start with the spiritual stuff and then we'll get onto the physical, more practical stuff as well. Okay, so firstly, it brings your vibration down. If you have watched my other videos, you understand that we're all creatures and kind of beings of frequency or vibration. Even if you don't believe in those terms or you think they're a bit new agey, that's fine. Think of it instead then that we are creatures who spend time with and are magnetized to other people who are like us. We like spending time with people who are similar to us. So if you have someone who's really positive, really high vibe, if you don't want to use that word, it's fine, but if you have someone who's really positive, inspiring, motivated, driven, healthy, positive, they are going to like and want to spend time with other people who are just like that. In exactly the same way, if you have somebody who is what you would call negative, or they like to complain, they're in a victim mindset, maybe they're depressed, they're struggling, they're anxious, they're nervous, whatever. Even if they don't admit it, they will naturally spend time with people who are very similar to them. And this applies perfectly to alcohol. And I'm not saying that alcohol is, completely bad. I'm just saying that for me personally, it was the right decision to stop, and it might be for you too. Okay, so what is alcohol? Essentially, alcohol or ethanol is a poison. It's not easily digested by our body, and if you have too much of it, you literally die. Although I guess you could say that about many things. There is this kind of understanding that alcohol doesn't really taste that great. Our bodies and our minds intrinsically know that it's probably not good for us. And that's why we have to distract ourselves from that by making it taste good, by adding other things to it in order to mask the taste of the actual alcohol. The alcohol itself is not good for you. And, this doesn't come as a surprise, right? It has many side effects. It's bad for your body. It lowers your immune response. It damages your sleep. It makes you depressed. The list goes on and on. So why do we drink it? Well, the answer is to do with how it works on our psychology. So it is a numbing chemical. It produces a numbing effect. And for a long time, it was almost entirely used for its numbing effect. It was used as essentially a cheap painkiller, and this is why in movies sometimes you still see when they have to do some kind of emergency operation or something on themselves, or they're in a high stress situation, or they've been shot or whatever, they will usually drink some vodka or whiskey to take the edge off. It numbs you to the reality of the world. And that's great if you really need it, or if you're on a desert island or something and you've just, damaged your foot. It might take the edge off temporarily, but in terms of having it as a regular habit, in terms of drinking every week or even every day, that's over time, that's going to cause a huge amount of damage to your mental health, to your physical health, as a result, therefore, to the rest of your life, because you're going to socialize with people who also drink. They're going to encourage you to drink more, and their health and mental health is going to decline, which is going to further bring yours down, and you become trapped in this negative spiral. And, not to mention the effects it has on your pineal gland and all sorts of other things like that. Now, I'm not saying that you should never drink alcohol, because of course there are many high vibe people who do occasionally drink alcohol. It's not the case that you have to give it up entirely. It's just you need to really be honest with yourself and this is what I did. I essentially took a look at my life, and I realized that I was spending a lot of time, energy, and money on drinking. And there was nothing that was coming as a result of it. There was no benefit, really no benefit whatsoever. It would be exactly the same evenings, the same people, the same conversations, the same pubs, again and again. And nothing really changed. It was just kind of like being trapped in this one moment, in this one night, for a long time. There was no benefit to it. Not to mention the fact that, you'll be hungover the next day, you're likely to damage, accidents happen, you're likely to damage yourself, others, you're likely to say things you didn't mean. The list goes on and on in terms of the bad effects that it will have on you, your life, the people around you, and your body. So why do we do it then? Well, I mean, like I said, it's a numbing effect. We like to take the edge off, but really it's to do with your vibration. If you're trapped in a low vibrational state, right? If you're not experiencing abundance, maybe your health isn't perfect, maybe your mental health is suffering, or you're depressed, right? These things happen, it's part of life. If you're in that state, and then suddenly you discover this drink that can take the edge off that, for at least just for a night. It can take the edge off and make you feel like in the moment, it makes you almost feel like you are better than you really are. It makes you feel like you're more confident when you're not. It makes you feel like you're stronger, faster when you're not. It makes you feel like you're happier when you're really not. And it actually lowers your happiness over time, and especially the next day and the next day. It's really just an illusion. You're tricking yourself, essentially. If you keep on, getting drunk in order to chase this feeling of being buzzed, which is really, and this is really the ironic thing, is that when you don't drink, you essentially have that buzzed feeling all the time. And obviously, if you say that to a heavy drinker, they're going to say, well, no, that's nonsense. There is an adjustment period. Of course, like, you don't just stop drinking and then the next day you feel like a freaking superhero. That doesn't happen. But over a period of time, after several weeks, months, and even years of not drinking, you eventually realize, hold on a second, I'm pretty happy anyway. The default state is almost happy. And especially if you do other things, like I mentioned in the hour-long video I made, how to raise your vibrations. If you do those things as well, you're going to feel like a superhuman, compared to how maybe you used to feel or how maybe you are feeling. Okay, so what do you do next? Well, if you're wondering how to quit, I will try and make another video on that, but it really depends on how long you've been drinking, how heavily, and so on. Don't take this as qualified medical advice. It's purely my opinion, based on research and summarizing other people's research and all that. The usual stuff I say. Now, I just want to make it very clear, you can be high vibe and drink. I think the problem comes where the drinking or the alcohol becomes a crutch, where you're numbing yourself to the reality that you don't want to face. And this is especially true of in terms of socializing and confidence. You, with the alcohol, numb yourself to the reality of your life and you. And essentially you create this illusion in your mind that you're this, fun, outgoing, confident person, because when you're drunk, it feels like you are. But the reality is you might not be. And that's fine too. And in fact, that's better, because when you realize that, you can then actually improve instead of just giving yourself this illusion, for years and years. Let's give an example. You might know somebody who's, let's say, an alcoholic, or they have a real problem with drink. To the outside person, to the outside perspective, watching them, they don't seem like this, Bradley Cooper in Limitless, going around making crazy connections and growing their business and improving themselves. They don't seem like that person, do they? They seem more like somebody who is in trouble and has a problem. And, as a third party, it's very easy to say, well, you need to turn your life around. You need to stop drinking. You need to probably, do some work on yourself, get your health back in order, and really look at yourself. But in that person's mind, not all of them, but in a lot of people's minds, they see themselves as this successful, happy person, because when they're drunk, it can be easy to fool yourself into thinking you are. So that's actually a good thing. And if you watch my video on how to raise your vibrations, you'll see how simple it can be to change these things. You don't need alcohol. You don't need to smoke. You don't need really any of the modern day vices or, instant gratification distractions, social media. Like, there's a whole load of things that you really don't need, and they're actually making your life quality worse if you look at the bigger picture. I mean, it's easy to see in the moment how things make you happy. Let's say you order a big old pizza and it arrives and it's all warm and you can see the cheese melting. Yeah, it's fun in the moment, and you might enjoy that for 20 minutes or so. But the result of that is that the trans fats in the ingredients of that pizza will become the cells that make up your body, and ultimately will make you sick. It will make you weak, tired, depressed, and then, months or even years later, you will look at yourself and wonder, why am I so tired all the time? Why am I not sleeping well? Why don't I have spare money to do things I want to do? Why? And the answer is that it's these tiny decisions that you make every day that seem kind of insignificant in the moment. It's just a pizza. It's just another beer. It's just whatever. Or it's just a cigarette. I can quit anytime. These kind of lies that we tell ourselves, and these micro decisions that you make in the moment, have a huge impact in the bigger picture of your life. So that is why I quit alcohol. Let me know what you think, and if you are trying to quit or you have quit, I'd love to hear your story. Let me know in the comments, and see you next time.